I go just Marco your own certain amount. Say, okay, man, just do giveaway this night. Make we enjoy us. That kind of thing, just to make them smile. But as they talk, they tell them, you still they try do something. Maybe say you they try call their attention, maybe they listen. And hopefully they've listened, because I mean, out of 100%, I'm telling you right now, about 60, 70% of the people in the north, they are ready to do whatsoever. They don't care.
But
They don't
currently
care.
now, the
But I
agenda
tell
they are pushing right now is that, if they are not saying the Igbos are sponsoring it, they say the Fulanis are sponsoring. So right now, I heard that the Hausa, some of them are pushing the agenda that they will not participate in the Fulani-sponsored protest. Have you heard anything like that?
not really.
Not yet.
I haven't heard anything about
pay
that.
attention, yeah.
No.
They're already pushing something like that right now. All of this...
even that we push everything. They will push everything. Right now, Kaduna State, as I'm telling you, Kaduna State police commissioner, they've already issued a third that nobody should come out for any protest, and they mean it. But the people now are telling them, if we come out, kill us. Confrontation. If we come out, kill us. I'm telling you, if you go space, go Instagram, go everywhere. As they talk, that they give them reply. You go don't see like 100 posts everywhere. The malams, there are some malams where we say they are ready to come out. Some malams, they are ready to come out to come lead this protest. Some of them plenty where they tell those big malams, those big sheikh, we say now them they go see the president, they go see governors. They don't tell them say, una no fit talk, una they get access to them, una no fit talk. So we go come out. Our people don't too suffer, and we don't too listen to now.
Do you really see any reality in that from your own perspective?
I see reality until one of them to get space, enter that space where those big malan enter. Then we understand if not true in the fight for the people or not for his stomach in the dry fight. Because now maybe he never get chance. That's why he won't come out. But maybe the moment they notice him say he be like this one self the talk, they drag and come close. They knock him something. Maybe himself will keep quiet. But we never know until we see within the sub. But as of now, Baba, everywhere don't red. Everywhere. The man
we are encouraging them to keep it that way, because listen, nobody's coming to rescue anybody. Election can't deal with these guys.
You sabi this guy we na commander for Hisba for Kanu. Yeah. As they take respect that guy, Daura, as they take respect that guy reach, Baba in collect. They give him back to back. Say the case we the suffer, you say no come out. Say we forget, say we they respect you. We go do you something. You say waiting they worry you now. Just keep quiet. If you not feel
contribute, a lot of people from the south who probably because of the language barrier, they are not interested in some of the online conversation of the northern Nigeria.
Yeah, that is it. That is the problem.
It's because of the language. If you understand, always writing in Hausa. So majority of people from the south, right? They just stay away. Meanwhile, there are so many things happening. You are right, oh. There are so many things. There's so much awareness too.
I will encourage the people from the south to try, even if it's a translator, get a translator to translate, because this thing they are doing, if they get a collective effort, I'm telling you, as the criminals are planning theirs, they don't know where it go end. Them, they won't do everything that they do as usual. Come out, threaten people, threaten people so that they'll stop. But they don't know where it's going to end. They're going to feel like it's just like maybe answers, we don't know. But me, I'm foreseeing brutality in this thing they are about to do. I'm foreseeing brutality because the criminals will not allow it go. That's why they don't already use the mal and push them come forward. They don't tell them say make una go do. By the time people come out, come begin do them, they go come send their own talks. They'll begin do their own. But thank God the malam, thank God the malam said they tell them say, don't Allah idan kun fita, idan kun je zanga zanga, don't Allah babu taba kaya mutane. That means if you guys go out there to go and protest, please and please do not touch anybody's property. Do not vandalize anybody's property, because that's what they're gonna use and hold us down from getting what we want. Let's go out there, concentrate on what we want to do, and let's make sure that we are doing it. also help them.
I mean, yeah, we are
Hopefully
monitoring.
they do the right thing.
There's always a time when we're going to come in, though, right? Let's let them.
Definitely.
Talk, say, make you help them. Say, please help me. I want to carry these things. They have to see you bend down and ready to carry it too. So we are watching. Ahmed,
Baba,
we'll talk more later. Okay. Thank you so
no,
much. Thank you. So usually I would have asked Ahmed to speak Hausa there, but I also want to kind of like you said, to one stone to kill two birds. Okay, let him speak directly to all of us at once. Mix it as he did. So I'm going to go read our white malice. We have gotten to this part where Lumumba is the president of Congo. I've been a prime minister, president. Now, we have also gotten to a stage where they were already plotting to get him killed or removed. The CIA, 1960s, was bloody. That was the moment the gang up, led by America, came for those early freedom fighters in Africa. And all their dreams, majority of them could never be fulfilled. They were killed in their prime. And they were killed by their own people, incited or instigated by the American CIA and others. If we don't read this to quickly close the gap, we can be on this for a long time. So please bear with me. It's just going to be a chapter. It may take the entire time we have left. I have 20 pages. 20 pages that we need to read in this chapter, and that is a part 6, chapter 18 of the White Malice, the CIA and the neocolonization of Africa. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get on. So bribery, bugging, and green berets. The initiative in the Congo lay in Accra. Observed the South African journalist Colin Legum in his 1961 study, Congo Disaster. From there, President Nkrumah kept in daily contact with Leopoldville and the United Nations headquarters, and carried on rapid consultation with other African states through his ambassadors in their capitals, as well as through the ambassadors in Accra. There were posters on the street of Accra calling for the support of the Ghanaian troops and campaigns for cigarettes and other comfort for the soldiers away from home. Radio Ghana transmitted a special program from Accra to be rebroadcast by willing Congolese radio stations and by a special broadcasting unit set up by the Ghana Army, which carried messages to individual Ghanaian soldiers from their families and friends. The program's signature tune the program's signature tune was played by E.T. Mensah and his Tempos, a hugely popular highlife band. It was quickly remembered because of his catchy words. Congo, Congo, River Congo, me no sabi swim, water they take me go, Congo, Congo. Me no sabi swim, water they carry me go, Congo. It's a song. I don't know if that's how it sounded though, but manager. Grown men wept when it came on the air, said Cameron Duodu, who was working for Radio Ghana. But the Congo was a chaotic and dangerous place, and almost everyone feared for those who went there and lived in fear that they might never return home alive. On the 1st of August, Ghana's National Graphic published a photograph of 3 Ghana police officers managing the Air radio station in Leopoldville. It also quoted from a welcome by the Congolese Minister of Health to a Ghanaian medical team bringing doctors, 4 nursing sisters, a radiographer, and a laboratory technician. Regard Congo as your own country and save the lives of his people, said the minister gracefully. We have confidence in you more than anybody else. He went on. Work as you work at home in Ghana. This is your own home. We won't forget this. Nkrumah created a new Ghana office in the Congo to serve as an administrative liaison between himself and Lumumba. To lead it, Michael Dane Anang, a first-class civil servant, was released from his routine work as principal secretary of the foreign ministry. In addition, a dedicated coordinating committee was established in Accra to assist the Congo under the chairmanship of Kwaku Boateng, the Minister of Information. Members of the committee included Colonel Eric Otu, the senior Ghanaian officer in the army, Geoffrey Bing, the Attorney General, General Alexander, and a military officer with logistic expertise, Richard Kouachi, was appointed secretary to the committee. On the 12th of July, the committee sent a mission to Leopoldville. Another member of the committee was Aloysius K. Bardin, the director of Bureau of African Affairs, who was increasingly involved in the Congo. At the end of July, he moved to Leopoldville to coordinate the work of the BAA agents. I left for Congo to assist our brothers in consolidating their newly hard-won independence. He wrote a friend in Uganda on 30th July rather, and also to achieve their territorial integrity and sovereignty, which are being threatened by mass invasion of Belgium, imperialists. Bardin returned briefly to Accra to submit a report to Nkrumah. He then returned immediately to his work in the Congo. Both Ghana and the US were embroiled in the developing crisis of the Congo, but almost from the beginning, argues historian Nwaubani Ebere, the two had fundamental differences on the issue. The most fundamental difference was that of purpose. Ghana was seeking to protect the legitimate government of the Congo and was making considerable sacrifices in order to achieve that goal. The US, by contrast, was seeking to undermine Lumumba and his government and to advance the perceived interest of the US. In this process, the CIA took a key role. Larry Devlin arrived in Leopoldville as the CIA chief of a station of the Congo in early July, probably the 10th or 11th, 1960. About 10 days after independence and 5 days after the mutiny of the army. His cover was that of political officer in the embassy, and his office was next door to that of Ambassador Timberlake, with whom he forged a friendship. Sometimes, commented Devlin, there was friction between foreign service officers and CIA personnel in an embassy, but not under Ambassador Timberlake, who set the tone from the outset, making it clear that he would not tolerate any kind of tough wars or infighting. Devlin already had a close relationship with Bill Borden, who was close to Timberlake. These links quickly translated into a triangle of men who were of one mind. Shortly after my arrival, wrote Devlin in Chief of Station, Congo, I drove in a borrowed car to a house in Binza, a suburb of Leopoldville. on a hill overlooking the city, where I met an agent who had been on the books for some time. It was one of the few agents I inherited, and I had to start building up a network from scratch. This gives the impression that the CIA presence in the Congo was patchy at best. Such a picture was frequently promoted by officials. The CIA had had one agent in the Congo, observed Owen W. Roberts, who was the consular and the commercial officer in the embassy in Leopoldville. But judging even by Devlin's sparse account, this was misleading. He had a deputy, Eugene Leroy Jeffers Jr., who served undercover of political officer at the embassy. He also had a deep cover agent who worked in secret at the office of Pierre Mulele. Since Mulele was the Minister of Education in Lumumba's cabinet and a central figure among Lumumbists, so is that what they were called? Lumumba supporters were called Lumumbists. So Lumumbist, his appointment afforded a valuable source of information for Devlin. Two additional assets were referred to by Devlin as Dad and Bobby. One of Devlin's agents was Jack, a Belgian who owned a plantation. Jeff, my new deputy, Devlin recorded, was his case officer, and soon had him, Jack, suggesting anti-Lumumba storylines to his friend, the newspaper editor, and getting steady feedback from all sources. In addition, wrote Devlin, we were already monitoring Parliament and encouraging and guiding the actions of various parliamentary opposition groups that we had penetrated. We were seeking political leaders who might marshal their supporters against Lumumba when a vote of confidence was called. Jack used his contacts with the youth, with labor leaders, and with Abaco to foment demonstrations against Lumumba in the weeks that followed independence. This may explain a crowd encountered by Lumumba in front of the Prime Minister's residence when he returned from the US in late June 1960. A gathering of adolescent girls wearing white skirts, orange skirts, and blue caps, the uniform of the youth of Abaco, who cried out, "Down with Lumumba, down with the traitor government." Devlin was highly appreciative of a temporary duty officer who worked under official cover in the embassy and in the embassy. This asset, referred to by Devlin as Mike, was experienced and extremely competent as well as fluent in French. He had been sent to the Congo by his home station, Devlin wrote, though without identifying which home country this was, with instructions to develop contacts among that nation's troops assigned to the United Nations military force. Though I appreciate the other station's needs, I quickly drafted Mike to serve as a station case officer because we needed all the help we could get against our local and Soviet targets. Mike remained in the Congo for several months. A woman working with the CIA was attached to the US Embassy, but Devlin made no mention of her. Apart from this woman and Alison Palmer, the vice consul, the embassy staff were essentially an all-male group. A number of Americans were living in the Congo at this time, and the US Embassy tried to recruit some of them as sources of information. One of these was Albert Weiss, who refused. My relationship with the US Embassy in Leopoldville was strained. He recalled many years later. And one reason was that they assumed that I would be a reasonable source of information on the grounds that I had worked at the State Department less than a year earlier. This thought ways was understandable, but it was not in a position to assist. I could not be helpful with raw information because I was in the Congo under academic auspices for the Center of International Studies at MIT rather. I had presented myself to the Congolese leaders and party representatives as an independent scholar. I felt that sharing such information with any government or intelligence agency was inconsistent with this, especially where I was given free access to their supporters. He added, and no one at the US Embassy ever asked for my opinion as to what I thought US policy should be. On this, I think I would have given them a full answer had they ever asked. I would have said that in my opinion, Lumumba is entirely open to negotiations, especially with the United States, and I would urge you to enter into negotiation with him. One of Devlin's regular visitors was Albert Kalonji, who announced the secession of South Kasai in August 1960. Kalonji was seeking American support to overthrow Lumumba, recalled Devlin in his memoir, and he wasn't the only one. For several other politicians visited me with the same idea in mind, given that Devlin and other CIA officials were actively inspiring Kalonji and other politicians to oppose Lumumba. This statement was disingenuous at best. Howard Imbre passed out money to selected politicians while he was in the Congo. This was a task in which Devlin, too, took a role after his arrival. By now, payments were being made to the 5 members who formed the nucleus of the Binza group, so-called because its members lived in the elite Leopoldville suburb of Binza, where only white people had lived before independence. This powerful clique comprised Mobutu, Army Chief of Staff, Victor Nendaka, Justin Bimboko, Foreign Minister, Albert Undele, Finance Aide, and Damien Kandolo. Also on the list of recipients were Kasabubu, the Senate President Joseph Ilio, and Cyril Adola. Further information about the bribing of Congolese politicians emerged in 1975 in the course of the wide-ranging and revelatory investigations of the Church Committee, a U.S. Senate committee chaired by Democratic Senator Frank Church to investigate the intelligence activities of the U.S. government. An important dimension of his investigation was the events taking place in the Congo in 1960 to 1961. In the course of the Church Committee investigation, Douglas Dillon was asked, were you aware that the U.S. was supplying financial support or other kinds of support to moderate politicians within the Congo who would be opponents of Lumumba? He replied, not in detail, but certainly the general fact that we would be doing that, yes. Soldiers were also bribed by the CIA. UN liaison officers attached to Mobutu noted the constant comings and goings of Western military attachés who visited Mobutu with bulging briefcases containing thick brown paper packets, which they obligingly deposited on the table. The United Nations officers did not know what they contained, but could not help making guesses. A senior UN official believed that with this money, Mobutu's men became by far the most affluent soldiers in Africa. The historian David Gibbs has commented that these highly paid soldiers may not have numbered more than a few hundred, but he adds they constituted virtually the only functioning units in the Armée Nationale Congolaise. With such a political base, he points out Mobutu was able to play a decisive role. The CIA used Mobutu and his soldiers as a freelance strike